The new Whirlpool W collection with Sixth Sense technology that fully guides you to achieve perfect results. Whirlpool, sensing the difference.
And welcome back. It's mid-morning, so it's time for a cuppa and something sweet to go with.
And here she is, sweetness herself. It's Krissy Gibson from Take the Cake. Good morning, Krissy. How are you?
I think I wrote the copy today.
Well, you didn't.
So, hi, good morning.
We have an ingredient that some of us aren't familiar with this morning, chocolate. How are you going to work that into a recipe? I'm fascinated to know.
This guy. I'm doing these today for you, mister.
Now, listen.
I tell you.
That's a recurring line. Every week these are for you, Simon.
Yeah, right?
Is he texting the night before going,
no, but she does them sometimes to annoy me. I'm putting coconut in this.
Yeah, but you're happy there's chocolate in it.
Oh, yeah.
Extra cinnamon today for you. So we are making chocolate chip cookies because they're so good.
Oh, yeah.
And this is a classic Nestle Toll House recipe. The thing is, though, that I've got an increased amount of flour because our flour over here is quite different.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
All right.
We're going to start with 225 grams of softened butter. That's a half a pound. Just make sure it's nice and soft before you get going. We're good to go. So we're adding 170 grams of castor sugar to it. You can also use granulated sugar. It doesn't matter. Just some kind of white sugar. And this will literally cut up your butter. It will whip it up as it goes. A lot of times you'll find that in baking recipes, it'll request that you add the white sugar first, and that's why. White sugar fluffs up butter quite nicely.
Oh, okay.
So give that another minute. Whip it up nice and smooth and fluffy. And then we're going to add 260 grams of light muscovado sugar, okay? Now, we've made cookies together on the show before, and I always mention that when you add a bit more light muscovado sugar, you'll get a chewier cookie. Altogether, we're adding 430 grams of sugar. I do 170 white, 260 light muscovado because I've got a thing about soft cookies.
Yeah, these aren't going to snap like a traditional biscuit, and these are chewy, baby.
So if you are a strict crispy cookie person, increase the white sugar and decrease the brown sugar. Just do 430 total.
Okay.
So whatever your texture, you can be accommodated for.
And there's another trick to making soft cookies, which we'll get to in a minute. So now we're going to give this a good mix and make sure that all of our ingredients are nicely, smoothly mixed together. We're going to add 2 more ingredients to this before we add anything dry. We're going to add 2 eggs and a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Here's my eggs. I'm using pasteurized eggs today, and vanilla extract. A teaspoon is about 5 mils. If you happen to add a little bit extra,
more flavor.
We won't fall out over it. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with a little extra vanilla. So we're going to mix these up. Now this will be nice and fluffy. Give it a few minutes. For TV time today, we're going to cheat, but give this a few minutes. You want a nice and fluffy combination of ingredients in your bowl, okay? Now, once that is mixed evenly, we're going to mix together our dry ingredients, okay? It's a good idea to mix your dry ingredients together before you add it. And that's just so that you get these strong things incorporated evenly.
And evenly, yeah.
So we've got a teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of baking soda. The last thing you want is a lump of salt or baking soda in one cookie.
No, thanks.
So mix this in, okay? And we're using self-raising flour. 400 grams of it. And I had mentioned earlier that we are using a bit extra flour in this classic Toll House recipe. The thing is, I moved here about 15 years ago, and for 6 months, I couldn't get my baking right, which was devastating to me. 6 months it took me to get my cookies right. You guys have different flours over here.
So a bit like you'd be adjusting to the road signs and the speeds.
And
couldn't get your cookies right.
The roundabouts.
And how different and why?
Isn't it crazy? I think that flours are different no matter where you go. On that side of the ocean, I use something called all-purpose flour.
Yeah.
Over here, I'm using self-raising flour. Okay, that's the most success I've found is with the self-raising flour. So I'm using more flour here than I would over there.
Okay.
400 grams of that. A teaspoon each of your salt and baking soda, bread soda. That's about 7 grams, okay? So the vanilla, the baking soda, and the salt, you're doing a teaspoon each, which is about 7, 7, and 7 grams. So altogether we have a pretty dry dough. You know, it's very stable. It's going to look really dry. We only have one more ingredient to add. Simon, can you guess what that is?
Well, I'm hoping it starts with choco and ends with lat.
Yes, it does.
I'm hoping that's what it is.
Ends with ips.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna add our chocolate chips to this. You can go ahead and use your electric hand mixer when you're using your chocolate chips. If you happen to have a stand-up mixer at home, you can use that as well. I do not recommend doing this whole recipe by hand with just a whisk because
it's a heavy dough, isn't it?
Yeah,
dough.
it does turn out to be a heavy dough. So chocolate chips, 340 grams, okay? Now, I don't find chocolate chips as easily here as I do in other parts of the world. Make sure that when you find a chocolate chip, it's a baking chip. There is a difference between a baking chip and, say, a button.
I was going to ask you, like, could we use up, because there's buckets of Easter eggs left over.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
And I'll tell you why. We are going to put our dough on ungreased cookie sheets. If you're using just buttons, they're going to melt all over your tray. You're going to have a mess. The bottom of your cookie is going to be burned chocolate. So try and find proper baking morsels, okay? If they are a little bit white, if they look a little bit, no, I'm not saying white chocolate, but if they look like they're frosty, that's okay. Okay? You want chocolate chips that are meant for baking. They should not be hard to find. Okay, so now we have our dough.
And you preheated the oven, Krissy, to what temp? Are you cooking them low?
160 Celsius.
Nice and low.
And we're going to bake these, as you know, I like a chewy cookie, okay? So we're going to bake these for maybe 7 or 8 minutes.
Wow.
And if you like a crispy cookie, another thing that you can do to cheat is just bake it a little longer.
So
maybe even 10 minutes. Yeah, you can go 10 minutes. And you know something else? If you, you know what? I've got one in the oven.
There's somebody at the door.
Look. Oh, I'm glad I took them out. They're well done.
Gosh.
These are crispy boys.
Okay, so I like crispy.
You like crispy ones, do you?
I do, yeah.
These will be for you, Aidan. So we're going to put these in.
The other 63 are for me.
We're gonna put these in for 8 minutes. And,
8 minutes, but I want them now.
Oven. Have a taste.
Okay, well, all right then.
These are great dunking cookies with milk.
Can we show you the, this isn't going to snap, okay? This is going to be nice and chewy. So it's going to bend and it's going to tear. Oh,
and by the way, before you take them off your tray, make sure that they
I don't need a small bit.
Cool for a couple of minutes.
Okay.
On the tray.
Now, the ones you just put in the oven went in as kind of little dough balls.
Yeah.
Will they come out that way?
They'll come out like this.
Well, they flatten themselves out.
You don't have to roll them.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to press them down before you put them in the oven. Okay, they'll turn out just fine. Yeah, exactly.
They are splendiferous. They are gorgeous, Krissy.
Actually, I prefer chewy, but I'll try the crispy ones as well.
Oh, all right, then I will as well.
There's just nothing wrong with chewy.
Krissy,
thank you,
these
Krissy.
are stellar.
Beautiful.
Full recipe details as ever are up on our website, or of course you can check out takethecake.ie for more Krissy's stockists, not Crispies, Krissy's stockists and recipes.
We are back with more Ireland AM after this break. Thank you, Krissy.
Cheers.
The new Whirlpool W collection with Sixth Sense technology that fully guides you to achieve perfect results. Whirlpool, sensing the difference.